I was talking to my wife on the phone, and I was saying like some of these shows go pretty long. I said, but here's the story. I said everybody that's on the show that yaps, they're not just yapping. It's great information. They're talking about things, and they're explaining why they're reasoning for the whole deal. So even though the show might go a little bit long, I feel like it's a lot of good information because there's knowledgeable guests that are explaining. They're explaining the entire situation. They're making it knowledgeable for anybody who listens about every aspect of fantasy football. So I'd rather go long and have good information than go short and just kind of get through stuff, So I'm fine with that. But we are live now, so let's get to the show. So I'm John McGlynn. This is the Commissioner Evaluation Show, and you can find me on the Twitter machine at John McGlynn75. Today I had the pleasure of talking with the co-host with the Mo-host, Justin Taylor, and Zareh say your name, Zareh Kantzabedian, right?
Yeah, it's Zareh Kantzabedian. Yeah, that's perfect. Just hey, all my friends call me Z, so you can just call me Z.
Z, I'll keep it at Z from now on. We'll talk about the news, the rumors, a little bit of combine talk. We'll jump into some settings he prefers and leagues he plays in, Mighty McGlynn dynasty trades, and we'll evaluate a team to see if it's a rebuild or a remodel. So let's get started.
McGlynn is in. I repeat, McGlynn is in. Let the fun begin. This is the Commissioner Evaluation Podcast with your host, John McGlynn.
Was that Herms?
He got them guests on the Rolodex, stopping by to talk about some Dynasty Superflex. Everybody, yo, commish is in. It's time to sit down to listen to John McGlynn. Yo, who we trading, who we fading, who we getting off the squad. Knowledge never overrated, playing for number one. Hey, yo, McGlynn is in. It's time to let the fun begin. It's the Commissioner Evaluation Podcast with John McGlynn.
Thanks for jumping in here, Toronto Dave. Incredible shout out to Herms for the great song. Thank you very much. I agree. Great song. So I worked 60 hours in the last 5 days, just kind of working my butt off. I joined Dynasty Pros late last week, put out my first article for them. I officially joined the wonderful P2W fantasy brand with Nick Script, my neighbor at P2W, with my This Commission Evaluation Show, which has been on here anyway, sort of last year or so, but I just kind of officially put an application in and became an employee. So there you go. I can now get rid off my taxes, the zero money I make. So so today we'll do some content. We'll talk about some content we create. I watched some Roshan Robinson film with Matthew Bruning the other night. I had to cut him off early because I had a couple of shows going on. He's from Canton, campus Canton. And now I get to drink coffee and talk with you fine fellas on today's show. So, JT, what's been new with you?
Just joined Dynasty Pros, also PTW. I think they just sent out a tweet today. I'm going to be providing content to DLF as well. So all kinds of things going on as far as the Dynasty, community is happening. I also went and saw Cocaine Bear last night. Highly recommend. It was actually hilarious and it was highly entertaining. I was dying. It was actually a good watch.
I heard it was a pretty good movie, actually. I was like, I was at a movie watching something with my boys, and I saw that movie, the intro for that or the commercial for it. I'm like, is this really a movie, or are they just playing some stupid thing at the movie theater? And it really is a movie. So I now I'm getting all the reviews saying how fun it was. So
it was pretty entertaining. It's kind of a gore horror movie / dark comedy. So it was pretty funny, based on real events that happened in 1985, I think, in Kentucky and Tennessee. I think they found a bear filled with cocaine, but I'm pretty sure it died just in real life. It wasn't actually a killer bear, but they ran with it for the movie. It was pretty good though.
Yeah, that's one of those that was based on actual events, right? But they just killed it, right? So
yeah, I think in real life it just snorted a bunch of cocaine and died, but it didn't kill anybody. But it was a good movie. It was, if you like that kind of genre, it was pretty funny.
Z, tell me about you. What's going on?
Oh man, yeah. I've just had a baby 3 months ago. She was born too much premature, so I've been home off work for a very long time. It's been nice having this time off. Got to focus more on fantasy football. Give my energy to fantasy football. Get on Twitter, talk to more people. I saw you reaching out for guests, and I just kind of threw my hat in the ring. And thank you for having me on, guys. Also, congratulations, like Dave is saying, congratulations on the on DLF, on P2W, and everything. You love to see people moving up in the industry. Yeah, man, just happy to be here. Nothing much new besides the baby and baby lockdown, and just trying to create content.
I've been on baby lockdown for the last 20 years. Now my kids are old, so I'm good now. So we're all right. All right. So Z, first of all, tell me about yourself, where the Twitter machine can find you, TikTok, Instagram, all that kind of stuff.
I am only on Twitter at ZKantzFF. That's ZKANTZFF. You can find me at footballguys.com. I am a dynasty ranker and a contributor of sorts, different pieces of content. That's where I'm at. That's my home. And I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on Instagram. I can't do it yet. I'll work my way there slowly. It took me a long time. I just joined Twitter 2 years ago. No, 2019 actually. So I'm a late bloomer, but hopefully one day I'll get to those other platforms.
I'm trying to do the Discord and trying to my TikTok. Funny story. I'm on TikTok only for the fact of the matter that my kids wouldn't. I was sending them text messages, and they wouldn't answer the text messages. And we only use TikTok. If you want to get a hold of us, you got to get a hold of us on TikTok. And I'm like, you little shits. So I had to download TikTok in order to tell my kids, like, hey, this is what's going on. But now the best part about it is I'll text them, like, I'll Snapchat. It's Snapchat. I'm sorry. So I'll Snapchat them, and I'll tell them to take the garbage out. And I can see that they saw my shit now. So it doesn't, so now it's like, you look at you guys did. Now I can tell I got to do is Snapchat you something. And now I can tell you, like, hey, take the garbage out, go cut the grass, go do this, and that. And they bust themselves because they open it and they see the shit that's on there. So it's they played themselves, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's the way they interact with each other now. And they, especially I always see that they're like, people in high school, they're always like, when they meet somebody or like college kids are like, DM me like on Instagram or DM me on like some other social media. They don't do phone number exchanges anymore. They go, find me. Here's my handle on whatever platform. DM me on the platform.
And the worst part about all that stuff is I don't remember. I used to remember like 50 phone numbers. I have my mom and dad's phone. Yeah. Type it in all the time. 582-4967, whatever the deal may be. Now it's all you do is press mom's cell, dad's cell, whatever, that kind of stuff. And if somebody asked me what my kids' phone numbers are now, I probably wouldn't even know. That's the sad part about it. And I had everything memorized when I was a kid. They got it good, but at the same time they got it kind of bad. So
I hear you.
So what's a day outside of life of fantasy football for you? Like for work, that kind of stuff. Like what's going on in it, like Z?
I think, a normal work day for me is I get up about 5 a.m. I start work about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. But before I go to work, I like to try to hit the try to hit the driving range, go get some balls, get that out of my system. Outside of fantasy football, yeah, it's like I really love to golf. I just started doing it a year ago. It's my passion. I'm obsessed with it. I try to go play whenever I possibly can. Before that, it was surfing. I started surfing in 2004, 2003. And it took over my lifestyle. And it was everything I did in my life revolved around surfing. Like I sacrificed money. I sacrificed education. Everything I sacrificed for surfing. But then golfing came. COVID happened. And then it got really crowded because nobody had anything to do. So they all went surfing, and then just became really crowded. So I became very salty old man, and I went golfing instead. And it kind of hits that nerve, but in a different way. And there's nothing better than a feeling of hitting a well-planned golf shot and having it land where you want. It's just everything to me. Outside of that, I just kind of work 5 days a week, 9 to 5. Come home, whatever energy I have left, I try to do it. I try to give it to the family or fantasy football.
JT, did you go golfing or surfing today?
I did not. I used to surf in college, and I was terrible at it. And I stepped on a stingray and got and basically jabbed me in the toe, and I thought my foot was going to fall off. It turned black for about a year. That ended my surfing days back in college. I do golf. I'm a terrible golfer, but I like to golf more just to drink and hang out with the buddies. So I typically, my game is not great, but I can throw in a decent shot or a decent putt here and there. If you throw me on a team with a little bit of scramble, I can help you out. But my score by myself is pretty terrible.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. There's no surfing here at all whatsoever. In the summertime, I see some people by the lake, but it's so choppy. Like Michigan, you really can't surf too much. It's and as far as golf is concerned, I go for like fundraisers and stuff like that. I bring like 2 clubs, like, use everybody else's stuff, and I usually shoot the best on the 19th hole. So that's kind of how that works out for me. So, so what does fantasy football mean to you, Z? If somebody says like, what does fantasy football mean to you? What do you think of?
Currently, so if I thought about fantasy football right now, I mean, it depends on what stage of life I'm at, right? Like, so when I first started fantasy football, I started fantasy football in 2011, and I'll give you a quick history. I hated football. I couldn't stand football before fantasy football, but all my best friends from high school were doing it, and I just wanted to I wanted more time to spend with my friends. Like, I loved hanging out with my friends. These are my brothers. They're still my best friends to this day. That's over 20 years ago. And so I got involved with fantasy football. And I love fantasy football because it was so cerebral. It was so strategic. And then, after the first year of fantasy football, I realized that if I want to get better at fantasy football, I should understand the game of football itself. And so that's when I was talking to you about Matt Waldman and all the great talent evaluators and player evaluators out there. And, just learning how to evaluate players, that became a very big passion of mine. So, that's a major component of my love for fantasy football, is that I get to evaluate players, and it was just something I never thought I'd be doing, but something I love doing. More recently, fantasy football, like during that, 2 or 3 years of lockdown and where the world was falling apart, fantasy football was like where I went to gain some kind of stability and peace of mind. Like without it, I don't know what I would have done. And currently fantasy football is something that offered me an alternative, for a career arc, for a career pathway. I mean, like I'm not a full-time contributor anywhere right now, but like that's where I want to go with fantasy football. It's offering me an opportunity, and I'm at an organization that honestly I looked up to these guys at Football Guys since I first discovered them in 2013. I'm like getting emotional talking about it. I didn't even think about this would happen, but I discovered Football Guys in 2013, and the second I heard Sigmund and Cecil and Matt Waldman all talking about football, I fell in love with those guys. I knew that's what I just knew it. And like all that time, I stuck with them. And I'm just like, Joe Bryant reached out to me one day and asked me to be part of the team. And it's kind of like really, really weird that I'm here right now at Football Guys, part of this organization.
I think you landed in a great spot because they are kind of like how do you call it? Like the pinnacle of fantasy football right now with Dave Kluge and Jeff Bell and Kevin and all these guys that have joined Football Guys. It's just, and the people you had mentioned also, that is like an all-star team of fantasy analysts. It's Toronto Dave says Sigmund and Cecil are awesome. Absolutely. Everybody I don't think there's one person that I don't like on that entire fantasy Football Guys staff or the Football Guys staff. That is an amazing group of talented people that they have there. So you landed in a great spot, and congratulations on that. When did you start playing fantasy football? Are you more of a redraft or a dynasty guy or a best ball guy, or what do you do?
I started playing in 2011. I'm more of a dynasty guy now because, I mean, it's, like I've said before, like I'm really into player evaluation. And as soon as the Super Bowl ends, you take a very brief break. I take a very brief break for about a week, maybe 2 weeks at the most. Then, as soon as the fantasy season ends, I'm looking at the rookies because I don't have time to watch college football. I wish I did have more time to watch college football and be, a big guy like, Jeff and Christian Williams and Kevin. Those guys are really into it. But I mean, as soon as the season ends, I'm evaluating the next rookie class of players coming into the NFL. And that's making me more of a dynasty guy because it doesn't end really. Like if I had time, I'd be more of a Devy guy. If I had even more time, I'd be a more campus to Cannon guy, looking at high school recruits coming into college as freshmen. I'd go as deep as possible. So whatever time allows me, I guess, is, whatever time I'm afforded, it dictates what I'm into, right? So like if I had less time, I guess I'd be in more redraft. But since I have enough time to do enough research about dynasty, it's dynasty. I'm a dynasty guy right now.
Yeah, I'm in dynasty league. I've started a new home league and JT's in there, but I got all these dates on there for someone to vote on for their like what day we have it, but
Yeah.
JT hasn't voted yet because he's a jerk. So
Oh, I missed it. I got to get in there and vote again. I thought I already voted the first time. That's my bad.
I run these home leagues, and I got like a manifesto of rules that I've learned for the last 20 years of playing fantasy football. All this stuff about trading and collusion and all kind of league messages and stuff like that. It's a great like bylaws, for new leagues, and all about super flex and how many guys have in a roster, and we have draft lotteries and all that kind of stuff like that. So it's all in there. But these home leagues are awesome. I'm starting a new one up now in JT. I found JT at the Scott Fish Bowl live draft in Chicago. We met each other and we kind of hit it off, and we've been doing podcasts and stuff ever since. So he's moving up in the world. He's a lot smarter than I am, but that's why I keep him on the show, to keep me, to make me look good. So
I just talk too much. I fill time. That's what I do.
that's it. So you already talked about your hobby. You did golfing and surfing before you got into fantasy football. What's some other things that somebody would be surprised to know about you?
I guess one random fact is that I lived over there, and I'm not sure if you guys know where it is even on the map, but my parents are both from Beirut in Lebanon, and they migrated here to America. And when my parents split, I went and lived in Beirut in Lebanon for a few years. So I have some time, living overseas on the other side of the world, which is I think was really good for my development. I'm just very, very grateful for that opportunity. That was like when I was about 12, 13, 14 years old, my early teens, just starting to becoming a teenager. I was living with cousins who were about 22, 23 years old, who at the time seemed like 50-year-olds to me. But, they took me around. They exposed me to a lot of stuff that 13, 14-year-olds shouldn't have been exposed to at the time. But in that part of the world, in that country, rules are very flexible. There are no hard rules, you can go buy a pack of cigarettes when you're a 14-year-old. You can go buy alcohol depending on where you're at when you're a 14-year-old. There are no real hard rules over there. There's no there's no traffic lights out there. You see like people there's no accidents, which is crazy, but like there's no traffic lights. There's no stop signs. It just worked out a certain way out there. And the people out there were incredibly generous. If you were ever short on money, they would never let you pay them back. They would cover you, no problem. It doesn't matter if you're buying something or you're with friends. It was just an incredible experience. So I guess not to rant too long about that, but I mean, that's one cool little, random fact about me.
Good. That's good to know. I like hearing stuff like that. JT, did you ever live outside the United States anywhere?
Nope. Traveled around a little bit. Been to Australia and a few other places, but never lived anywhere else. Lived all over the United States. Went to about 1 million different colleges, but never lived outside the country.
I was telling Z before the show started, I've been to 43 states already. That was kind of, it's just norm for me to travel around, America with my kids and my family and stuff. But it's, I went to Canada for the Niagara Falls and for a bachelor party a different time. And I went to Mexico a couple of times for, just trips with my wife and things like that. But I've never been anywhere else. When I hit all 50 American states, then I'll kind of worry about seeing Europe and stuff like that. But living somewhere else for a couple of years, that had to be a great experience. I like to hear that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So what do you do to prepare yourself every season to make yourself a better and more informed fantasy football player?
And yeah, so I was thinking about this question, and I think so if we're talking about like dynasty, I think dynasty involves just you need to stay in the loop. You have to pay attention to what's happening with the combine. I think it's really important to up your tools and expand your toolbox. So I'm more of a film guy when I first started out, but I've just started using analytical profile models. I taught myself how to use Excel spreadsheets. I taught myself how to calculate burst score, speed score, breakout age, all those things you see that all those advanced metrics guys use. And I'm starting to incorporate that more in my analysis. It's not the entire thing, but it's starting to get more and more weight the more and more I do it. I've only been doing it for about 3 years. I think if we're talking about like redraft, mock draft your ass off. Just keep mocking. Mock draft. It's gonna help. Even in dynasty, rookie mocks, mock draft. I think it's also like when joining a new league, be very open to drafting according to the scoring settings, because that's gonna be a huge it's going to be a huge factor on why you win a league. You just can't keep drafting your certain players. If it goes again, you can't keep drafting Nick Chubb if it doesn't if it's a PPR. I know he's good, but I'm not drafting Nick Chubb in front of a lot of other running backs in PPR formats. So yeah, I think just adhere to scoring settings, do your homework, increase your tools of analysis, and and do a lot of mock drafts regardless of the format.
Do you find yourself getting keyed on if you do when I used to do 30 or 40 mock drafts a day? I was nothing but I was crazy. But I would find myself oh, he's falling. I'm gonna grab him here. You grab the same people almost all the time in some drafts after a while because it's guys you think are, I'm getting this guy's a value. And every draft because most people just tap by the ADP where they fell, and you go by players and guys you like, and I don't use the ADP. I use my own rankings or what I think is going on right now or who's falling or he hasn't been updated yet. Like Keenan Allen's got signed today. I think he's got a little bit of a boost for his value right now. And guys like that I would kind of reach a little bit for guys like that who I know in ADP they might be somewhere, but you can get them in a value. And I just kind of keep finding myself drafting the same people in some of the mock drafts. So I stopped doing them. That's I don't know if that's good or bad, but
I think it's really good to diverse, the portfolio, of players. I learned the lesson the hard way. I think I was doing best ball drafts 3 years ago, and I really loved Darius Guice coming into the league. And it was after he got drafted, it was that period between the season and after the NFL draft, and I kept taking him everywhere. I took him in every single best ball draft, and he went down to injury and kind of ruined all my teams. So that's when I learned, I think it's good to diversify your portfolio and experiment with different methods and different draft strategies. Right now, I'm in a startup. I'm in the middle of a startup, and I am going heavy rookie wide receivers that are projected to have round one draft capital. Just because of the success rate, that round one rookie draft and the career arcs that round one rookie draft wide receivers, round one wide receivers have. I'm kind of trying that method out, and I'm trying it in the early portions of the draft too. I did this before. I did before this one. I took a lot of wide receivers like Mike Williams, Terry McLaurin, these middle of the career guys. So now I'm trying something else different.
Yeah, JT, what's your strategy for when you start a new league? What do you like? What do you like to do?
Yeah, I think the key is to look at scoring settings first. I've got leagues that, I have guys every year and they're like, I don't understand why my team sucks in this league. And I'm like, did you even look at the scoring? They're like, well, what are you talking about? And I'm like, they're not taking guys. If you look at the scoring, figure out where guys finish, it can make a huge difference. Tight end premium leagues, some of them, those guys finish so much higher. I'm in leagues where the quarterback scoring is ridiculous. And so you look at it normally and you're like, I just need a middle of the road guy. And then I'm in leagues where if you don't have a top 5 guy, you're in trouble. So I think definitely got to look at the scoring and figure out what the difference is. That's why I play in so many leagues. I like that the scoring's different. I like that not all the settings are the same, so you can do different strategies. That's my favorite part of fantasy is basically trying different things and seeing what works, and hopefully you're successful at multiple things. I tend to be one of those guys that I draft way too many of the same player. I fall in love with certain guys. I take them everywhere. It's been successful in a lot of years. And then I always tell the story of one year I was in 11 leagues and I made 11 championship and Final Four games. And then I lost all of them. I had one terrible week where everybody just fell apart, and I lost in every single one of them. I couldn't freaking believe it, but they did get me there. So that's all I always say. Stick with my guys. But again, that's why I like different formats, different scoring, because maybe guys that I wouldn't typically take in certain leagues, I like in other leagues. So that's why I like the differences. And that's why I don't always play in leagues with exact same scoring.
Yeah, that's a good strategy. Z, what's your favorite Sunday afternoon munching food when you're sitting around watching Scott Hansen on Red Zone?
I think it's pizza. We have a really good establishment out here called Topper's Pizza. They do really good. They have amazing topping combinations. They got margarita chicken with garlic sauce and this, and they have a lot of good creations. And it's actually expensive. It's almost it's $25 for a medium or something like that. I don't know what the going rate is across the nation, but it feels a little bit hefty to me for a medium pizza, but it's well worth it. I can crush one of them large pizzas by myself easily. I prefer not to share it at all. So it's kind of It's kind of like in the morning, man. I love, not to stray too far off the food topic for Sundays, but I mean Sundays just themselves, like the NFL Sunday, the day of of every single Sunday on during this regular season is almost like a holy religious day. Like when you wake up in the morning, we got 10 o'clock. Our games start over here at 10 o'clock in the morning, so it's kind of like we wake up in the morning, we have our coffee, we have our breakfast, you do your workout, whatever you got to do. And then, it's coffee. You set your lineups and it's time to go. You set your lineups and you go. It's like a whole religious experience. Like I love game day. It's the excitement you can get your ass kicked one week and then be completely over it and just be fired up again come next Sunday.
JT owns a smokehouse. He does pulled pork, all that kind of food like that. JT, you have 1,000 things to choose from on the menu. On Sunday, what's your favorite food to eat?
Oh man, it's a toughie. I love pizza too. Pizza's just something about pizza that just goes with football. Is great. I love wings too. Wings, chili. I'm a big chili guy when it comes to late in the season, gets a little bit colder.
Yeah.
It used to not be a huge breakfast guy, but my girlfriend is all about breakfast. I tell her I've eaten more breakfast in the last year and a half than I probably have in my entire life. Because every morning she wakes up, is the first thing out of her mouth is like, when are we eating? Where are we eating? She wants breakfast, and I'm like the type of guy I eat leftovers. So I'm like, I think I got some pizza in the fridge, and she's like, you can't have pizza for breakfast. You gotta have eggs and bacon. I'm like, okay. So she's telling me I have to do this. So a lot of times on Sundays lately, we've been having breakfast tacos, doing that kind of stuff. Making bacon and biscuits and gravy. So I've been going more of the breakfast style here lately especially on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm all about that kind of. I can eat anything. I can eat pizza for breakfast, but everything, not by you, but a pizza like a Giordano's deep dish pizza, which what we usually get, big fat family size deep dish pizza. It's like $48 now for a pizza, and I mean it feeds 6 people. It's a big pizza, and we'll get something else on the side too. Like breadsticks or something like that. But everything across the world is expensive right now. It's not just by you, so don't think that you're special because you got all this expensive food.
Don't feel special. I hate it, man.
Everybody hates it. Everybody hates it. I guess.
Yeah, try owning a restaurant and buying the food first, and then trying to sell it to people. That's the brutal part right now, man. It's everything is crazy expensive.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to keep up with the costs.
Even McDonald's, I used to go on the way to work. Sometimes I'd run late, and it was 2 for $2, or it was 2 for $1 sausage burritos when they first came out. Then it was 2 for $2. Now it's 2 for $6.50 for 2 sausage burritos, and they're not even that big. It's you got to be shitting me, man. Everything is so expensive nowadays. So, all right, we got to get back on track here. What's your favorite team, and who do you want them to draft in round 1?
I don't have a favorite team, but I guess if I had to pick one, it'd be the Chargers. And if I had to say a round 1 pick, would be Zay Flowers. I think I would love Zay Flowers to the Chargers. I think he's just a really good fit in that offense. And it's great for fantasy football. So why not? I'd take that. That's my pick. And I tried really, we talked about this. I tried really liking a team. I tried really liking, the Chargers. I just didn't care enough if they won or lost. So I mean, and I mentioned to you earlier, fantasy football has really diluted my ability to be loyal to a certain team. But I do want to see, I do appreciate what the Chargers are. I do love their players. I love their defensive players. Derwin James is one of my most favorite players in the league. So I do have favorite players, and most of my favorite players are on the Chargers. So I guess the Chargers would be my favorite team.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. We got to know you a little bit. Let's do some league questions. Sometimes I ask commissioner questions here, but we'll do some league questions here. Do you have a lottery for the losers brackets in leagues you play in? Anything like that, like a draft lottery, like a rookie draft lottery or anything like that, or just
what?
Tank for everything?
Compensatory picks or compensatory prizes?
Oh yeah, picks 1 to 6 in my home leagues. We have a draft lottery, so people can't just tank. What happens is we'll get if you don't make the playoffs, you're in the shit bowl, and if you win the shit bowl, you get pick 113 or 213 depending on the league what they voted on. And on top of that, depending on how many on Sleeper, there's what's called the max points for on the mobile app. I don't know why it's not on the website on the actual computer, but on the mobile app you get max points for, which the best your team would have done if they all you calculate all their points together. And whoever's got the least amount of max points for has they get like 40 balls in the bingo machine, and then so then you get 25 and 12 and 15. So we have a lottery. So even if you try to tank as much as you possibly can, you're not guaranteed to get 101. So everybody gets together, drink some beers, eat some food, go to a local bar, and just kind of do a rookie lottery thing, and it's just something else to keep like the home league guys together. So I don't know. Do you have any leagues like that have like special?
We don't. My main home league, I only have like, I mean, I refer to my home league as my league with my best friends from high school. So I mean, we don't have anything like that. We don't have anything special like that. I mean, you sound like an amazing commissioner of the leagues that you run. I mean, I don't have any commissioners that do anything fun like that. Like, if you're tanking, you're tanking, and that's it. And there's nothing anybody can do to stop it. It's acceptable. It's acceptable behavior in all the leagues that I'm in. But I mean, like the more stuff you can throw into it like that, the more consolation prizes you can throw into it, the more incentive you can give people to play and be active. I think the more better. I mean, in my opinion, I mean, like when I was a commissioner of a league one year, I've been a commissioner like twice or three times before this. And I remember instead of, just to mix it up, we instead of doing determining draft order on where you finished the year before, we did it based on you get a random number drawn for 10 players in the league. You get a random number drawn, and whatever number you get, that's your horse in the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
Whenever that horse finishes is where your draft spot is. So like I like to do weird stuff like that. Like I like to do stuff weird. If I was commissioner of a league, I like to do weird stuff like that. But my home league, my guys are very much, hey man, it's April. What are we talking about fantasy football for? They're those kind of guys. Those are my home league guys. So it's very hard to get them involved in something and talk and plan for things, in the offseason.
The more you go down the rabbit hole, the more people get involved in the offseason stuff. The free agency, and I got 3 trade offers this morning, and I'm not. Of course, they're all terrible, but it's I try to counter, and it's like, what? This guy's not doing that. What are you talking about? My guy's the best ever, So, Dave says? What's an awesome order determination, Z? Or what an awesome determination, Z? Order determination. So that is cool. There's nothing, as long as your league's happy with the stuff you guys are doing, it's fun. There's no better way to do it. Whatever you guys, as long as you guys are having a good time, that's all that matters. Do you guys have any trades? Can you trade 365 days a year? Or is there trade deadlines in your leagues or no?
There is a trade, like going back to my home league, there is one trade deadline, but I mean, I prefer no trade deadlines at all. I think there shouldn't be any trade deadlines at all. I mean, you keep the action going all year long, keep the movement going. The stock markets, the market's open all year long. That's my opinion. There shouldn't be any trade deadlines.
What about waiver wire? Do you have waiver wire all year long, or do you stop it? Because in my leagues, what happens is a lot of my buddies are cops and firemen and construction workers, stuff like that. They're not sitting at a computer all day long, like during the season. So, and they play fantasy baseball, fantasy basketball, fantasy hockey, stuff like that. So I wait, my waivers go all the way until the Wednesday after the NFL Super Bowl, and they close. So there's no waivers the whole entire offseason. And then we start up after a rookie draft is like, a rookie draft will be either 2 weeks or a month or 3 months. It all depends on when we have time or when it's scheduled. We'll have our rookie draft. And then 2 weeks after the rookie draft, we give everybody a chance to kind of absorb who they got. And then we'll have a cut period where you have to get down to 30 men. Nobody on your IR, just 12 teams, 30 people on everybody's roster. It doesn't matter who it is. That's it, 30 people. And then 2 weeks after that, whenever that people give everybody a chance to kind of look at the new roster, see who's on the waiver wire. And then I start waiver wires up again after that. So it gives a little bit of break for everybody to kind of breathe a little bit, spend time with your family, that kind of stuff.
I think, yeah, it really depends on who you have in your league, right? Like it depends. If you have like really sharp guys in your league who are just like pretty much all about it all the time, I guess you can have waivers run all year round. If you have guys who are really on top of the rookie class coming in, like smart Devi guys, keep it open all year long. But more casual guys, let's give everybody a break. Nobody knows what's going on. Like if you have like one guy or 2 guys who are sharp in a league full of like casual guys, they're going to be plucking players off the waiver wire, and they're going to be like, okay, here's a free agent class. I know which wide receivers are the top free agents in the wide receiver class. I'm just going to go ahead and pick them up right now just in case anybody dropped them or this and that, So depends on what kind of league you're in.
Yeah, if some breaking news comes out with Adam Schefter at 10 o'clock and the waiver was at 11 and somebody's putting out a fire in all full gear, they have no chance in the waiver wire, that kind of stuff. So it's just not fair. That's the way I look at it anyway.
Yeah.
What's your favorite host site? Do you play an MFL, Sleeper, that kind of stuff? What do you?
It's got to be Sleeper. Sleeper works so well. I mean, I love the interface on Sleeper. I actually had to quit one dynasty league this year because they wouldn't switch to Sleeper, and it was the last dynasty league that wasn't on Sleeper. I mean, I don't want to say what site they were on, but I mean, like it seems like any other site you go on, is so outdated. Like, and Sleeper, they're really great because they interact with their people on Twitter. Like, hey, Sleeper, can you do this? Can you add this? We're gonna work on that. We're gonna try it. I suggested, hey, Sleeper, can you include player contracts into player profiles for dynasty managers so we know like the contract things and we can all have it there consolidated on the site at one place. And I just love Sleeper. I love a site that interacts with their customer base. It shows a lot of respect for people.
MFL, if you put a work ticket in, they get back to you pretty well. But the other ones, you're dead in the water, that kind of stuff,
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to ask you a couple questions for settings you prefer in the leagues you play in. Okay, so are you a full PPR guy?
I'm not. I think it rewards too much per reception. I'm not a full PPR guy. I'll go half PPR at the most. I think it should be like a quarter PPR actually.
Really tight end premium, which one would you like?
In tight end premium, I'm fine for 1.5. You got to add balance to the position, so I'm fine with for 1.5.
I like mine is like 0.75, so it's 1.75. Or some leagues I'm in at 2. It just makes the tight end position so much more important. Now you have to get Travis Kelce in round 1, stuff like that.
Right? Yeah.
What about like 0.1, like 1/10 of a point per every carry for a running back?
I like that. I mean, I've never been in a league that's done that, but I like that idea. I mean, it brings back to relevance. Your workhorse backs who are kind of like those points. What's that?
The Chubb and the Henry and stuff like that. Who get 25 carries, right?
Yeah, your Chubbs, your Henrys, Jamal Williams or whatever. Like those guys. It's really. I think point score settings should be really a great tool to balance every single kind of position and every single player within a position. You have positions with the positions, right? You got 2 different types of running backs. You have positions. You have rushing quarterbacks and you have pocket passer quarterbacks. You have slot tight ends and you have inline wide tight ends. You have different kinds of positions with positions. So I mean, use the score settings to kind of balance everything out as best as possible. Is my opinion.
What about a full point for rushing or receiving first down?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm not really. I haven't tried it, so I wouldn't really know. I don't have like a anecdotal story or like how I perceive it. Really, I've never tried it, but I'm fine. I'm open to it. Why not try it once? I think like we said, there's like a position within a position. There's always that player or that wide receiver or tight end or running back on every team that's primarily used on like a third and long situation or a second long situation, or within a certain down and distance. Like there's analytics that'll tell you which players are most utilized on whichever down and distance. So you can get crazy deep with it. I'm okay with that.
Do you award points for special teams like punt returns, kick return yards, kick return touchdowns, that kind of stuff?
I love that. I've never done it, but I love that too. We
do that in all our leagues. I absolutely love it. It's something else that we all kind of voted on originally. It keeps carrying over to league, and it is it's great.
Yeah.
How much should a passing touchdown be worth?
6. It should be 6.
6. Okay, it's a bigger. Ours are 5 and 2 most of the time. Some people play with 4 points per touchdown, which I think it kind of kills the quarterback position.
Kills it.
So, yeah. What about bonuses for 102 yards rush, 200 yards rushing?
Yeah, throw them in there.
Throw them in there. That's right.
Throw it in the fire.
Get them scores going, baby. Bonuses for 3 and 400 yard passing, stuff like that too.
Yeah, do it. Yes. I mean, reward him for good play, and it might not necessarily be good play. It might be just garbage time, but I mean that's part of the strategy. That's the strategy. That's part of like looking at like the Vegas lines and trying to see which team's going to be in a deficit and trying to find that quarterback that nobody's thinking about on the waiver wire and be like, okay, this guy's going to be in a comeback. He could put up 300 passing yards, get that bonus points. It's part of the integrity that goes into building a well balanced roster for any given week.
Absolutely. What about points for like 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 yard, like rushing or receiving touchdowns or passing touchdowns? Absolutely. You like those too?
Absolutely. I mean, as much as I hate it when it goes against me, I'm fucking salty about it. But I love it when it works out for me, man. Like when you have Tyreek Hill on your team and those bonus points start kicking in, oh man, and you're like looking at like, you're like, I can't believe I got this many points for Tyreek Hill this week just because he caught like this, a 30-yard, 40-yard pass.
Yeah, I played Mike Evans and Tom Brady in the championship this year, and it was like 5. I was like, oh, and every one of them was like long play touchdowns, and I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. Mike Evans had one good game the entire season, and then I get to the championship, and I'm smoking this dude, and every other play is a 60-yard touchdown to Mike Evans. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, man?
Yeah, I had Mike Evans on my bench in a overall point scoring league this year for that game. It ended up single handedly moving me from like second to fifth in the league by not playing him that game. It was brutal.
We all been there, man. We all been there.
It would have never. How else could it have worked out? Of course, it was going to work out like that. Of course, it was going to work out like that. Jake. He doesn't do anything for half the season, and then when it counts, of course.
Do you like auction startups or snake drafts?
I like snake. I mean, auction. I just don't have the time for it. I can't. I mean, I'm interested in it. It's an interesting format, and it really gives the edge to the more knowledgeable manager. But I mean, I don't have time for auction. I love snake. I love manipulating ADP. I mean, that's actually auction, but I like exploiting the fact that a lot of players draft according to ADP, and I really like exploiting that aspect of snake drafts.
Yeah, I like auctions so much better, but I'm terrible at them. Like we talked about it before in the shows. I tried to join them before. I even drove a couple hours to do one with JT before, and my team was, we only did 5 rounds of auction draft to start the league off, and everything else was snake after that.
Yeah,
but it's so hard. You're so tempted to spend all your money on these good players, and just watch you watch everybody else just kind of get the spoils after, like getting everybody else for $30, and it's like,
you know what somebody should do in the fantasy world is be like an auction draft like accountant, like show you how to budget while you're in a draft, and like hire that person for a draft and like give them off a flat rate fee and be your auction accountant. So it shows you how to, because I'm terrible at budgeting my money in auction drafts, and that'd be something interesting. I don't know. I bet somebody could.
Yeah, I always talk about an auction. It's like snake drafts. You can really kind of feel out your league mates and kind of guess who's going to pick guys where, and you can kind of like figure out the first 5, 6, 7 rounds where guys are going to go. But man, the second that auction draft starts, it just all hell breaks loose. It's like your strategy goes out the window. You're like, I'm only going to spend this much on this guy, this much on this guy. And then you start going and it just gets crazy. And you're like, what's one more dollar? What's one more dollar? And then you get that buyer's remorse. You're like, oh, if I would have just spent $3 more on that guy, I could have, Josh Allen instead of Tua if I would have just spent a couple more dollars. And it's like, and then you get later on and you're like, oh, I should have spent all that money because all these guys are going so cheap. It's so hard to budget. It's so hard to, like, when you get in those bidding wars, to just say stop and just quit bidding. You're like, oh, just another dollar. It just the auction. That's why auctions are just crazy, man. I feel like it's so hard to maintain strategy and all.
JT, I feel like if we go to Vegas ever together, I'm gonna have to be pulling you off the tables. Get him out of here.
It's so hard.
Yeah, definitely hard to walk away. Definitely hard to walk away from that blackjack table. You're like, I'm on a roll. Just stop. Walk away.
The best part about auctions too is you can go to 15 different auction drafts, online or at with your buddies, whatever, and every player is going to be a different price in every league you go to. So you can't nobody's going to say like, okay, this is what's going to happen. He's going to go for $14. He's going to go with this and that. You got to have yourself like a limit. You got to kind of say, this is what I want to spend. This is what it is. And even then, some players fall to you. Now your budget changes, and now you have to adapt to every time you pick somebody up, and you don't get anybody cheap anymore. It's so hard, and everybody throws out shit players at the beginning, and you're like, this is a trick, but I want Deion. Deion Jackson, or I want Jacob, whoever. It's terrible that you're spending like $2, $3, or $4 on these guys people are throwing out, but I'd rather do that than miss on those guys who could hit in the season. So.
When I'm thinking about it, right now. I think auction drafts would be easier to do in dynasty startups than in redraft startups, because in redraft, you're everybody's fair game almost. Like age really isn't really a variable in redraft. Whereas like in startups, somebody throws out Christian McCaffrey in the first round, you're always going to be tempted to draft a 26-year-old player, or an Austin Eckler, a 27-year-old running back. But I mean, it's a lot easier to say no to that kind of stuff in dynasty startups, as opposed to like, if you throw out Jackson Smith, JSN in the second or third round, he's going to go for almost probably just as much as, McCaffrey might right now. So it's really interesting to see how to balance those players.
Someone like Derrick Henry is like, probably in the top 5 running backs in redraft, but in
he's dynasty, like a $5 guy in dynasty probably.
Right. Yeah. So it is what it is. That's another thing. Do you like playing in Do you like playing in a variety of different leagues, or you like pretty much all your leagues like streamlined? So you're pretty confident what you play in.
I love variety. I'll never know. I really never say no to a proposed scoring setting. Like if we're in sleeper and you say should we change it, I'm like yes. I don't even think about it. I'll figure out if I like it after the season ends. But I want to try it because it's just more fun. It's just more variety. You gotta love it. What's up, guys? How you doing?
Yeah, the Royal boys. That's some. I'm in a league with them guys, and man, talk about smart. It's Jeff and Kevin and Christian are just unbelievable guys, man. It's fantastic.
I'm going to start up right now with Jeff, and I think he and I are competing for the most rookie. See who can draft the most rookies on our startup team right now.
Jeff just made a trade in the league like probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago for a 1-on-1 pick, and or it was actually not the 1-on-1 pick, but it was who will be the 1-on-1 pick this year, and I'm like, man, for somebody who just wanted to get rid of running backs, and he scooped them up, and I'm like, oh, I sent a trade, and I don't like to throw all of my chips in the fire like right from the get go. But if you mess around, you're going to miss out on some really good players. So it's I got to become more of a better trader and just kind of throw my like Scott Fish says all the time. If you want a guy, just throw the book at him, get your guy, and you'll figure it out later. But I still like the playing around like the cat and mouse kind of game with my trades, and it's bit me in the ass a couple times. So
okay.
It is what it is. What about taxi squads? Do you like taxi squads or just expand the roster by 3 or 4?
Make the rosters as big as possible. For the true degenerate, like you've known and looked at every single player. Fourth string practice squad. Give me the practice squad guys. Give me everybody. Like I want everybody on my roster as much as possible. I want to stash them. I love deep rosters. I can't get enough of them. Yeah, we need bigger rosters. I don't care. I'm for it.
Do you play?
I'm all for that. I love that. I love see, I'm the guy that loves like the 4th tight end on somebody's team that I want to draft, and I want to hold the guy for 3 years.
Yes.
And then when he breaks out, I want to talk trash to everybody that I took him way late and I held him forever. So I'm all about taxi squads and big rosters. That's like I want to hold that guy forever. I don't want to have to grab him off the waiver wire in 3 years when he's actually good. I want to take him as a rookie, and I want to sit there and have him sit on my bench for 3 years, and I want to talk trash about it once he hits. That's why I'm always about bigger rosters, more taxi squads, all this stuff. Every league I'm in, I'm just pushing more taxi squad spots, more roster spots, everything.
JT, how many leagues do you have Donald Parham in?
Oh, I don't have a lot of him, but I tell you what, I got a crap load of a lot of other guys. I've had 1 million shares of Paris Campbell forever. Brian Edwards is my kryptonite. I have Brian Edwards in every league. I've traded for him in every league for 3 years. I'm like, this is the year. He's going to have a monster year. And I thought he was going to Atlanta. I saw that trade. I traded for him everywhere. I didn't have him before I got him. And I just can't believe it didn't work out. I can't believe he ended up being on like 4 or 5 teams last year. And I think he caught 2 passes all season. And I still can't get myself to drop him. I still have him on 1 million leagues, and I'm going to hold him to the bitter end until he says he's retiring.
Brian Edwards is definitely one of those guys last year in free agency that you picked up along with, who is that guy? The big guy, the Bengal guy that was Auden Tate. That kind of went off.
Auden Tate. Yep, Auden Tate. I had in 1 million
Auden Tate
leagues.
Was one of those guys. Yeah, you picked up him last year in the offseason. You got some Zay Jones. Alan Lazard was one of those guys you picked up, and these are the dart throw guys you kind of pick up. And it's really interesting because Zay Jones, he started off on the Bills, right? And he has the same exact profile as Gabe Davis. He has the same exact profile. I think he's his best comparable player on Player Profiler, right? So Zay Jones started off with the Bills, left the Bills, went to the Raiders, and then Gabe Davis came to the Bills and took over for Zay Jones pretty much. He was like Zay Jones' clone. So that's like one random fact. But yeah,
Zay Jones. I'm all Zay Jones all day. I traded for Zay Jones all off season. I was like, I just feel like he's going to be solid on the Jags. I just felt like their offense was going to be better. I thought he was going to get a lot of chances, and I hated Zay Jones coming out. I mean, I had no Zay Jones for years, but for some reason last year when he got on, they went to the Jags. I was like, I just have a feeling that Zay Jones is going to break out, and he was one of those guys I traded for everywhere on the Jags. My big Zay Jones story that always kills me in fantasy. Excuse me. I had a guy had him on his team. picked up Jerick McKinnon. I didn't put money in for Jerick McKinnon because I was like, I'm never going to play him. I don't care. He picked him up, played McKinnon instead of Zay Jones, beat me in the playoffs, and I did not win the championship that year with my best team because I didn't put money in for McKinnon because I didn't think I was going to play him. So I never make that mistake anymore. I put money in for everybody, even if I'm not going to play him, just to block other guys because it was like a 20-point difference between what Zay Jones would have scored and what McKinnon put up.
And these guys like Zay Jones and McKinnon, like we were talking about, in auction drafts, these are the guys you're going to get for $2 at the end of the auction draft. Your startups, like last year, you could have got them for pennies, for a couple bucks, $3 at the most in auction drafts. These are the guys you got. These are the difference makers, like Cam Akers. He was going for probably a couple bucks last year in dynasty auction startups.
De'Ami Brown, Denzel Mims, all these guys. Yeah, they're not Jalen Reagor. They're not going anywhere. They're on my team forever, baby. Sorry, that's how it works.
Yeah,
I gotta learn how to cut these guys. It's never gonna.
Jalen Reagor, wasn't he doing kick return for the Vikings last year?
He was.
Punt return, kickoff returns or punt returns?
Yeah, they got rid of who was the guy that was on there before? Who did real good
Wangu?
in the playoffs? Yeah, Kenny and Wangu. He was doing pretty good, and then they cut him. He went to Philadelphia, I think, and then.
Wangu's still there.
He's not on the Vikings anymore.
Yeah, he is. They cut him.
I thought I'm pretty sure they cut him. Maybe I could have been mistaken, but I could have sworn that's why Reagor was doing the special teams.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I don't know. These guys I just can't cut them. I drafted them too high, I spent too much for them, and JJ Arcega-Whiteside is a guy I finally did away with, but I've still got Adam Troutman on my team waiting to break out. It's probably never going to happen, but it is what it is. So, all right, let's move into some NFL news and rumors here. I'm going to ask a question. I'll direct it towards each one of you guys, and then we'll go from there. Z, how many times are the Bears going to trade up in round one or trade down in round one anyway?
I mean, I think they can trade down a maximum of 2 times. I think you can possibly do that. I mean, the best candidates I think are you got the Lions and Raiders. I think are the most realistic candidates. Seahawks actually. Seahawks might be a good candidate for the trade partner for the Bears. I think they can trade down a couple times. I am not the best NFL draft kind of analyst, but as far as like the most value they can get is you can trade down twice and get some significant capital to still build around Justin Fields.
Do you think the Lions should go after? Well, I'll ask that later, but I'm just real fast. Do you think the Lions should go in for Lamar Jackson instead of like messing around with the trading picks away?
Yeah, I think they should. I mean, it seems actually like that team is built better for a CJ Stroud. The way they have their weapons, they have a lot of Amon-Ra St. Brown. They have, Jameson Williams. They can draft another wide receiver. It seems like they're, maybe it's just because I'm conditioned to seeing Lamar Jackson in a run-first offense, and I really haven't seen him in a spread, kind of spread offense where they, they throw it around a lot. But I guess if you're going to go for a player, go for the proven commodity. But if they were going to trade it for a player, I prefer it to be CJ Stroud. I think he is the best passer of the top 3 projected first-round quarterbacks. So yeah, I guess if you want to go for Lamar Jackson, go for Lamar Jackson.
JT, will the Bengals cut Joe Mixon soon?
Dude, man, this is so much stuff around Joe Mixon this offseason. It's rough. I could see them getting a running back in the draft and then kind of bailing on him possibly. I've got people trying to trade him everywhere, so it gives me a bad feeling that he's definitely going to be on the outs soon when I've got a bunch of guys in my leagues all trying to push him off on me now. So I think it doesn't look good for Joe Mixon right now.
I wish they were. I mean, he's going to land somewhere. Even if the Bengals cut him, he's going to land somewhere. Whatever's going on, that the court case just kind of get pushed away. He might get suspended or something. But I think he's still a pretty decent running back, and I wouldn't pay full price for him by any means. But if somebody's saying like trying to push him off, get him off my team, try and get a 3rd-round pick or something like that, I'd be all over it. Yeah, I mean,
watch the Bengals draft Roshan Johnson because they're drafting a running back.
Yeah, I'm not sure it'd be Roshan, but that would be awesome. I love Roshan Johnson. I think he's my number 3 back in this class. So that's
awesome.
Yeah. Z, Bills, who would their first pick be? Who do you think they pick first? It's going to be running back or receiver.
If it was offensive, I think you got to go receiver. I mean, you can pick up Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison. I mean, Zay Flowers could still be there. I'm not sure Jordan Addison will be there anymore. You can wait and go pick up Denzel Mims in the 2nd round on day 2. I think not Denzel Mims, Marvin Mims.
Yeah, I know what you
Marvin.
meant.
Honestly, I'm having trouble, and I hope the Debbie Royale guys aren't watching right now, but I'm having trouble trying to rationalize why Marvin Mims shouldn't be a first round wide receiver. He did really well. He had bad quarterback play in his second year at Oklahoma, but I think he's such a great. He plays with such good body control. He's just a fascinating receiver. I'm really starting to become higher and higher on him. But yeah, anyways, going back to the question, Bills can definitely need to draft a receiver before they draft a running back.
Yeah, JT Broncos should Denver grab a proven free agent? Grab Derrick Henry, or should they just get a draft or draft a kid to ease Javonte back into his role?
I think there's so many running backs in this draft. If I'm them, I'm looking to maybe pick up RB in the third round. I'd love to see him give Tyler Beatty a shot. They picked him up mid-season after he was on the practice squad for the Ravens. Now he's on the Broncos. I'd love to see them give him a little opportunity in this offseason. I know he's a little undersized, but, man, the guy was just a beast at Missouri. He was just a stud. But I think they go running back in those mid rounds, and they get somebody that they think they can plug in and give some carries to.
I don't know what the hell happened to Tyler Beatty. I had him in like probably 7 different leagues, and I don't know what the hell happened. But
Beatty was just an unfortunate circumstance of, I think, that whole philosophy of running backs don't matter. I think running backs, they're always the first people to be, cut candidates come, cut day on rosters, because they just like, if you don't have like special teams contributions, it's really hard to hold on to a running back and sacrifice like offensive line depth and all that other stuff.
Yeah. JT Browns, will Nick Chubb get traded?
I don't think they're going to trade him. I don't see what they're getting in return for him. To me, it doesn't make any sense why they'd make that move, because they're not going to get enough draft capital in return, unless they just decide they're trying. They get crazy here and they're trying to shed as much salary as they possibly can. But I don't see a trade happening with him.
Z, you get the Jameis Winston question for today. The Buccaneers, was Jameis Winston coming back to Tampa Bay?
Jesus, I was just thinking about this the other day.
It's a great thought.
I mean, Jameis Winston can end up anywhere this year. I mean, there's the quarterback thirst this year is, but I mean, if Jameis Winston goes to the Bucs, I mean, it's going to be fascinating. I don't know how bad his fallout was with him when he left, but maybe they come crawling back to him.
New coach, so that they'll be. I think it'll be fine if he comes back and gets. Yeah. So Arians didn't put up a lot of stuff.
He deserves a shot, man. He deserves a shot.
Damn right he does. He's the best player in the league. That's my guy.
You got him on a lot of teams, don't you?
I got him everywhere. I've had him everywhere. I love Jameis Winston. Yes. Cardinals. They released chosen to be cut. Ran Robbie Anderson yesterday. So it is what it is. Is Kyler the long-term answer, JT? Oh, he's frozen. What about you, Z? Is Kyler the long-term answer?
I mean, do they have any other options? I mean, what else they're going to do? Again, like we were just saying, like the quarterback thirst in the league is real. I mean, yeah, trade for Jameis Winston, see what happens. Hey, bring Jameis Winston as competition for Kyler Murray, see what happens. I don't know, but yeah, they don't really have a choice as far as I'm concerned. You locked in Kyler Murray to a massive contract that he didn't deserve, so you're stuck with him whether you like it or not.
JT Chargers. Did they need a speedster, a rock technician like Keenan Allen, or a big guy like Mike Williams? What would fit best in this offense?
Man, I tell you what, I don't think it's going to happen, but I just think JSN would be lights out on the Chargers. I think he would be him, or like a Jordan Addison would work perfectly on that team. I would love to see either of those guys. If they don't go wide receiver early, what Z was saying earlier, I think Mims is a great candidate. I think he would be a guy that would really do good things on the Chargers. I'm high on him. I kind of try not to talk about him too much, because I'm trying to get him in the third round of every one of my rookie drafts. And I feel like he just keeps creeping up into that second. I'm like, I want him in the third. But yeah, they definitely need to go wide out somewhere. I've seen a couple places have them go in tight end. I would love to see him snag one of the tight ends. I don't know if they have to give him the first round, but I'd love to see him get one of these guys in the second or third round.
You don't like Josh Palmer? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not in love with Josh Palmer. I have to be honest with you. I know a lot of people think he has a ton of upside, but I haven't seen it from him.
I was just looking at Josh Palmer's efficiency metrics, just coincidentally before I sign on with you guys today, and he was like one of the least efficient wide receivers in the league.
Yeah, I know. And that's a guy I have in all my teams, and I like him. So it's kind of like I'm trying to make things happen that are never going to happen. So that's just how it works. I'm so bad. I don't know whose turn it is. I think it's JT. Are the Chiefs going to be able to trade CEH or just cut him and add another running back, or what are they going to do?
I mean, I hated that pick when they made that pick. I couldn't believe people were drafting him over JT. It just blew my mind. I don't think you can get anything out of him. I think they're going to try to keep him as long as they can, and then when it's due to cut him, I think they're cutting him. I don't see CEH as the answer in Kansas City.
Yeah. Z, the Colts, do they trade for number 1 pick, or do they hold tight and just wait for a quarterback to fall to them at 4?
I think you got to trade up. I think you got to go trade up. You want a shot at. I think you want a shot at either Young or Stroud. I mean, you can also get AR too. I mean, just go get your guy, man. Just go get your franchise quarterback. Go get him.
I mean, it's 3 people. What if they had? Everybody has like their guys ranked 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they rolled the dice and sat back and said, you know what? Let's just see what happens here. And so somebody goes defense, and one of the 3 quarterbacks that they like the most happens just fall in their lap at 4. What happens then? Like
it depends. It depends how big the disparity is. Like, so you got your war room. I'm sure they got the names up on the board. It depends how big the disparity is between the quarterbacks and how they rank them. How their evaluators rank them. But I mean, trading it from 3 to 1 isn't a huge loss, and I'm sure the Bears would be more than happy to make that trade and trade down and still get their guy. So I think that the trade is, if you have a guy, you guys really, if they have a guy they really love, whoever that might be, go and get him. You're 2 spots up, just trade up and give whatever else you have to give and go get your guy. I mean, this is going to be your franchise quarterback, most likely. So it's not that big hit to take. Hit to take. I think they should just trade up and go get him.
Yeah. JT, the Cowboys. Tony Pollard got tagged. That's the news. But is Dak's career, is it trending up or down at this point in his career?
As far as fantasy football is concerned, he's trending down. If you look at Dak trades right now, he's a guy. If you have him, he's pretty tough to move for value right now. I like Dak in general. I think he kind of gets a bad rap for some of the things that have happened here in the playoffs and some of the losses they've taken. He puts up stats as far as fantasy wise, and when he's been healthy and not hurt, he's been good. So I still like Dak. If you want to go get Dak, now is probably the time to get him because he's probably the cheapest he's going to be. The question is whether somebody is just all out on him and will give him up for a reasonable price.
Yeah, I like having Dak when I'm stacked with CeeDee Lamb. That's the only time I like having. And every team I don't have those 2 together, I want to get rid of them. I want to get rid of Dak. That's about the only time I like having him on the team. Z, Dolphins, Derrick Henry or draft?
Draft.
They don't need a receiver out of the backfield. They got 2 receivers that make everything crazy happen. So you need someone to develop a play action game so Tua can stay healthy, or what do you do here?
I mean, yeah, Derrick Henry. I mean, he's 29 years old. I mean, we did this last year. I understand we did the whole age thing with Derrick Henry. Yeah, I think. Go get him. Go get him. If you want to absorb. How much do they absorb in cap? Like how much?
14 million, I think.
How much?
14, I believe.
14. Yeah, it's not terrible for like one of the best rushers in the league over the past several years. So I don't hate it at all.
And they may say like, hey, you take them. Give us a draft pick, and we'll absorb like $3 or $4 million of that when you take it over. They can make deals like that. So
they can work something out. I'm very running back doesn't matter kind of guy, but when it comes to Derrick Henry, it's another story. He very much matters.
Yeah, right. JT, Eagles, Kenny Gainwell, a fantasy chump or a champ?
Oh, man, this is a tough question. Gainwell's kind of all over the place right now. Some people are saying he's a sell now before he becomes completely useless. And other people are like, hey, he's going to be the guy that takes over there. I'm not sure what camp I'm in right now. I like Gainwell. I think he's got some talent. I'm just not sure the Eagles are going to fully give him all the workload, as they don't like to give anyone all the workload. And that's the toughest part about having the Eagles running back at this point.
I have Kenneth Gainwell a lot of places, and I don't know what to do either. Like I was going to trade. I have Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Trevor Lawrence on a team, a Superflex team. Those are my only 3 quarterbacks. I don't think I ever need another quarterback after that. But I was going to trade Kenny Gainwell away to get Evan Ingram, but I also have T.J. Hockenson on that team, so it's kind of like, what do I do? But it's 0.75 tight end premium, so I kind of want it, but I don't know what they franchise tagged him. I don't want to give up Gainwell for a 1-year wonder in Ingram if they're going to move on after that. So I'm not sure. What would you guys do in that situation? Would you get rid of Gainwell, or I mean, I have decent running backs anyway, so
I would probably move Gainwell for Ingram if I could get Ingram in a tight end premium league.
yeah,
100%.
It's like 50-50 for me.
I think Gainwell's already, like, you know, I don't think there's much more room for his fantasy stock to rise in Philadelphia now with, you know, the receiving weapons, and, you know, they're just consistent. They're dead set on using Boston Scott, and you know, having a 3-man rotation, including, you know, Jalen Hurts taking like all the rushing touchdowns. It's just really I mean, I love him as a player. I loved him coming out as a rookie. On my podcast with Brandon Hay, we did a whole film session on him. Our like offseason was pretty much dedicated to Kenneth Gainwell, but there isn't much room for Kenneth Gainwell to grow.
Yeah. Z Falcons, how are they not in on Lamar Jackson?
They are in. They got to be in on Lamar.
They say they're not, but they got to be.
They lie.
I feel like that's the biggest smoke screen ever. I saw that come out, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like,
Liars.
if any team's on Lamar, it's got to be the Falcons. I'm like, how can they just come out immediately and say we're not interested? It has to be the biggest lie ever. There's just no way. And if they really are completely like, we're not interested at all in Lamar, who's running that team?
Right.
I mean, seriously, got to
send that league to the XFL. They don't need to be in the NFL anymore. If
yeah, I mean, that's
you're
it's
serious about that statement.
Absolutely. JT, 49ers, what do they need in the draft this year?
Oh, man, the Niners. I tell you what, I think if they actually had their quarterback situation figured out, I think they'd be the favorite to win the Super Bowl. That team is just loaded on defense. They added my guy, CMC. I love CMC. Added him. They got pretty good weapons as far as wide receivers are concerned. So it's going to be interesting to see how the quarterback situation because I think they're one of those teams that are going to be drafting. I mean, they don't have a ton of picks because of Lance, the trade that they made for Lance. But, man, they're just stacking guys on guys at this point.
What? I mean, I have a feeling they wanted Mac Jones before in the draft, and they just kind of traded up out of whatever to get Lance. But if Mac Jones is available for a trade, would you go after him? And just move the ball downfield with no interception, kind of a keep the ball control offense going, just a guy, or is that just not a fit for that offense?
I mean, I think that's what Purdy was last year. I mean, he was that guy that just kind of fit in their offense, did what they needed to do, and he had so many playmakers around him that he was successful. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think if that team had a clear-cut starter without the injuries to Purdy and the injuries to Lance, I mean, I think they would be – them and the Chiefs would be the 2 favorites in the NFL right now.
I think Mac Jones is a better version of Purdy, and that's how I'm saying. Like, I think Mac Jones. Everybody kind of figured that Mac Jones fit that offense better than Trey Lance anyway. So I'm not really sure. Like, what were you saying, Z?
No, I was going to say, can I make a bold prediction? I'd like to see Hendon Hooker drafted to the 49ers on day 2.
Ooh, I like that. That's I kind of like that. That's a good move. I mean, he's a guy everybody complains that he's too old, but I'm like, the way they do quarterbacks now, I mean, guys are playing to their mid-30s. So even though he's a couple of years older, I mean, he still has could have 8 to 10 years in his career. And the guy was, I mean, I think he was lights out last year until he got hurt. And I think if he wouldn't have got hurt, I think we're talking about him being a top 10 pick.
That Brock Purdy just showed. I mean, like, I would give Brock Purdy, like, he was fine in certain instances, but that is such a system. That is a system that just completely elevates quarterback, the poorest of quarterback play. So, I mean, like, it's not really – I think given, understanding that you can find pretty much any quarterback and put them in there as long as they're, capable to some extent. Good
choice. Nice. That's a little spicy segment right there. That was nice. The Giants, Saquon's tagged. The Bears are drooling right now. I mean, they were drooling over Saquon before, but now that dream is gone. So was Daniel Jones overpaid for 160? That kind of feels right for me. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe slightly, but I think you're kind of like splitting hairs. I mean,
right.
We saw some progression out of him. It's really fair. It's really unfair to judge him on last year, given the state of the offense, and like they really had nobody to throw to. They were throwing to freaking Isaiah Hodgins and God knows, I forgot who else. Who's the other guy? I forgot. Yeah, I mean,
it wasn't Kenny G at all.
It wasn't Kenny G. It was a Kenny G.
It
Wandell
wasn't Kenny
Robinson.
G.
Richie James.
Wandell Robinson was doing his best Kadarius Toney availability impersonation. I mean, that's mean because injuries aren't nice, but they just have really bad luck with their wide receivers the past couple of years, and let's see who they can add on offense this year. Maybe they can draft Quentin Johnson. Maybe they can bring in somebody. I mean, like, I don't know, Jacoby Myers or somebody like that, or maybe bring in DJ Chark and like draft another wide receiver. But I mean, Daniel Jones still he still has time to be evaluated and assessed fairly.
JT, the Jaguars tagged Evan Ingram. Ridley got reinstated. What's the dynasty price check on Trevor Lawrence right now? What quarterback is he?
Oh man, I think it's tough to get him. If you want to go get him, you're gonna have to pay up huge. I think he's probably QB 7 or 8 for me. I mean, I love him in general. I went and tried to get him everywhere last offseason because I just had a feeling that his price was going to start going back up, and that was the cheapest you were ever going to get him. I love T-Law. I think he's that team with Peterson is just so much better now that they have Peterson as a coach, and I feel like that offense is just ready to take off.
All right, let's see where we're at, both of you guys. Would you rather take Lawrence or Mahomes?
I think you got to have Mahomes, even though it pains me to say it. I think you have to take Mahomes anywhere you can get him.
Z?
Mahomes, sir, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Lawrence or Hurts?
I just made this trade last year, actually, and I got roasted for it in the season. I traded Hurts for T-Law and a second rounder, and I loved it because I know Hurts probably fancy a little bit higher upside, but I think T-Law's got a longer career arc than Hurts, so I'm on T-Law over Hurts.
Yeah, it's actually closer than it should be, but I think I'm still leaning Hurts.
All right, Josh Allen or Trevor Lawrence?
Josh Allen seemed like he regressed a little bit this year, but I'm gonna go ahead and ride it out with Josh Allen and figure it out. Hopefully he gets it back together, but I'm riding with Josh Allen.
JT?
Yeah, I think it's still Allen slightly. I really want to say T-Law, but I think it's still Allen slightly.
Joe Burrow or T-Law?
I feel like that was pretty close. I'm probably slightly Burrow still, just because of the weapons he has around him, and they've really just set him up to have great wide receivers. I'd probably Burrow slightly ahead of T-Law.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the price differential isn't that great, but I mean, yeah, Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow is still the pick above Lawrence.
Herbert or Lawrence?
I feel like they're pretty equal to me. I feel like those guys are right at the same level. I think they're just about the same value. I like Herbert a ton, but I probably those two are probably two of my favorite QBs if I can go get either one of them. They're pretty tough to acquire right now, but I think those guys are pretty dead even for me.
Yeah, it's dead even. Maybe give the edge to Lawrence a little bit just because the offense just seems like in a better place right now with the receiving weapons coming in. I mean, he's got a plethora of receiving weapons and, it's just a very talented offense. He's going to have a lot of good windows to throw in this year.
Fields or Lawrence?
I was hoping you didn't answer this question. I asked this question.
I'm T-Law on this one. I'm T-Law over Fields.
I got. Come on. I mean, I wish I knew after they, acquired their, made their draft picks because I mean, I think I gotta go Fields, man. I mean, this guy, I gotta go Fields on this one. Just the rushing upside. This guy's he just breaks fantasy football. Lawrence doesn't do that. He doesn't break fantasy football. Fields breaks fantasy football every single week when he's running.
Wow, that's
running
amazing.
Alone. Yeah.
I never thought I'd get this far. Kyler Murray or T-Law?
T-Law.
T-Law, no doubt.
All right, so one more. Lamar Jackson or T-Law?
Give me rushing just edges it out for me. So give me Lamar.
I mean, I think Lamar's slight edge in fantasy. If I can trade Lamar for T-Law, I'm probably doing it. Just I think in a dynasty format, I think T-Law has a longer career.
That was pretty interesting. All right, very good. All right, Jets, they released Braxton Berrios today, which Braxton Berrios helped me win a fantasy Super Bowl last year. So on his kick return and his yardage on his punt and kick return yardage, and it was awesome to have that happen. But I got lucky; all my guys were hurt. I had no choice but to stick in Braxton Berrios, and he had a touchdown, a kick return, and like a humongous punt return yards, and it was absolutely awesome. So, is Rodgers the answer for the Jets?
I mean, Mike White and Joe Flacco almost look like relevant quarterbacks in the offense last year. So yeah, Aaron Rodgers is definitely the answer for that offense.
Okay. JT, Lions. Should I be dumping Swift right now?
Oh, it's tough. I don't know if you saw the odds, but now the Lions are the odds-on favorite to draft Bijan from a recent thing I saw this morning. So I'm like, oh, that hurts. I have Swift in a couple places. I still like him a lot, but man, I'm starting to get nervous. I thought last year was his chance to kind of break out. He still, whenever he touches the ball, he makes plays. Guy's got explosiveness, but they just don't want to give him a lot of carries. I'm worried about him ever getting more than 50% share of touches in his career.
Z, who's the best Packers player right now?
God, I feel like I'm getting all the hard questions today.
Williams?
The best Packers player, Williams? The best
Watson? Best all around. Who's the best player that's on the Packers offensive side of the ball right now?
I still think it's Aaron Jones. Yeah, okay. Aaron Jones, I don't think gets enough credit for it. Just his pure rushing ability. Just his pure rushing ability alone. He's the best. He's the best weapon they have on that offense.
He is pretty good. JT, Panthers, trade up with the Bears and get the best quarterback in the draft, or stick with Sam Darnold?
I've got this little thing in my heart for Sam Darnold. I don't know why. I just like Sam Darnold. I traded for him in so many super flex leagues where I was like desperate for a second QB. He actually, at the beginning of the year before he got hurt, he looked pretty good when he was playing CMC, and then he got back from the injury. He didn't look as good. He wasn't quite as crisp without CMC back there. If I'm them, I feel like re-signing Darnold and then taking AR is the best option, because you can let Darnold play this year, and if he doesn't play well, you've got AR ready to take over, and you get a better draft pick next year if your team's bad. If I'm them, that's probably what I'm trying to do, is hope that AR gets to me at 8. I think they're not 8 or 9. I'm hoping he gets to me, and then I re-sign Darnold just in case.
That's a great philosophy. I kind of feel the same way, because I do think AR needs a year to sit somewhere and learn, but halfway through the season, if Darnold's not cutting the mustard, you could throw him in and see what you got. But that's a great strategy. Z, Patriots, is Ramondre Stevenson a buy or a sell right now? Buy, sell, or hold?
Love him. He's a buy. He's a buy for me. I mean, people are worried about Pierre Strong, and Pierre Strong, how much weight? What are you talking about now? Like, what are you talking about? Like Ramondre Stevenson, he was one. He's. I mean, just watch him. He's one of the best pass catching running backs in the league right now. I mean, he's amazing. Big, strong, fast, can catch.
See, you got an easy question for a change.
I got it.
JT, Raiders. Josh Jacobs got tagged. Possible long-term deal in play. What are the Raiders really doing? I don't understand the whole philosophy of their offense.
I am super perplexed with them. I don't know what they're trying to do. The whole Derek Carr thing, just letting him go, how that ended after everything, like he was somehow the big problem on that team. I just don't understand it. This team, McDaniel is blown his last opportunity, I think, here as a head coach. If he doesn't figure something out here in the offseason, I think he's in trouble. I just don't see where this team is going at all. If they don't get a QB, they're done, and I don't know where they're going to get a QB at this point.
Right. I kind of thought like the NFL had something going on where a team get a brand new, like, state-of-the-art stadium, and then they win a Super Bowl a year or two later. That kind of just seemed to be the norm for some of the teams, but they're just going the opposite direction of winning. It's almost bad. It's almost like they're trying to lose on purpose. So
it doesn't make any sense to me what they're doing. I really don't. I don't. Even last year, I wasn't sure how they were as bad as they were. I mean, even when the Colts were just awful at one point last year, the Colts just rolled them. So yeah. It makes nothing in Vegas make sense right now to me.
Speaking of what are they going to do, Z, what are the Rams going to do?
What are they going to do? What they should do is sell everything and just play practice squad players next year and not even try. Right. They have no chance. They have no chance in 2023. Sell everybody.
I think the Rams are going to tank it on purpose. I think the biggest problem for them is they traded all those draft picks away, because the smart thing would do is tank and get Caleb Williams next year, but they can't do it now because they don't have any picks. So I mean, I feel like they're that guy in your fantasy league that is always trying to go for it, and he trades all his future picks, and then he ends up bombing out, and he doesn't know what to do, and he ends up having to quit the league because.
Yeah. That's a handful of people get in that situation where the whole thing just implodes all at the same time with picks and players and everything in your SOL. So Z, speaking of what they're going to do, what are the Ravens going to do with Lamar? Do you think they're going to just outbid everybody at the end and just try and save a couple of bucks? Is that what they're doing? Is that what they're doing here?
Yeah, I think. I mean, so if they outbid him, right? If they outbid him, it's just going to be for what, like 1 year? Is that what it's going to be?
I think so, and then they could try to restructure him or something like that. But I have no. I mean, they have to match a contract. So if I don't think JT, is it a 1 year deal they have to match, or is it like if somebody offers?
No. So basically, the way that this tag works is if someone offers him a contract, they have a week. I think it's 7 days to match that contract. And so it would be the amount that in the years that somebody offers them is what they would match. And if they match it, then they have to give up 2 first-round picks. Or if they don't match it, then they get 2 first-round picks in return for it. But yeah, if somebody offers them a 5-year, $250 million deal, they have 7 days to match that 5-year, $250. And if they don't, they get the 2 first-rounders in return. That's how that works.
Yeah.
So
JT,
I mean, I think if they don't keep Lamar and get those picks, I mean, they're almost in the same boat as the Rams are this year. They're pretty much just a complete tear down team. I mean, like they obviously they have more talent, but they really don't have a shot. They're one of the most difficult divisions in the league. So yes. I mean, they're in a race for that first overall pick plus the 2 firsts they get.
Yeah, it's bad news. It's bad news. I think the Saints, is Carr really an upgrade on this offense?
No. Carr is just. I mean, I think Andy Dalton was better than Carr last year. On just like a completion percentage and just a pure, real life NFL quarterback play. I think Andy Dalton was better than Derek Carr last year on a per game basis. I don't know why the Saints keep doing this, kick the can stuff. You really got to stop it. You really got to stop, reassess, and it's just not part of their philosophy. He's not an upgrade.
Yeah, JT, Seahawks, did they overpay for Geno, or is that a pretty good contract?
I think it's an overpay. I mean, Geno had a pretty good season. Obviously, his second half was not as good as first half. Stats wise, it made sense if you look at the stats. But just knowing Geno and his career arc and being this long to become a starter, tough to pay a guy that much money. But I also think it's tough to do what they did, trade away Russ and then not sign him. So I think they probably did what they had to do. I don't love the contract, but they probably could not get him for much cheaper without looking like complete jerks.
Yeah. Z, big question for you here, okay? The Steelers, Kenny Pickett breakout year or what?
It's tough. It's really tough to see that because, I mean, last year when Kenny Pickett was starting, you could see the way the offense was designed. It was very, 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 conservative. It was a very conservative offense. It was very limited passing concepts. To see them make a stretch into something more complex it's just really tough to see it right now. I mean, it's always possible. I mean, Jalen Hurts, I wasn't expecting Jalen Hurts to have the second year he did. They seem like a very run-oriented offense, very, again, another conservative offense, but Jalen Hurts offers that dimension of a rush as a rusher that Kenny Pickett really doesn't. I mean, Kenny Pickett has that ability. He was known for that slightly coming out of Pitt, but we'll see what they do with him. But it's really tough to see that happening, a breakout. It's tough to see him finishing as a top 12 quarterback this year.
It's kind of hard to compare people who Justin Fields is going to have a Jalen Hurts here this year. No, he's not, because they're not going to have AJ Brown and Devonta Smith on both sides of him catching the ball. It's super hard. The Bears cannot. I don't think the Bears can or Pickett or anybody, any quarterback who's kind of on the fence. They're not going to have a year that Jalen Hurts did, because they don't have the Heisman Trophy winner and probably the number 3 or 4 dynasty asset in the league, on their team to throw to, and the greatest offensive line in the league too, and the good running backs. Jalen Hurts pretty much was. He had a good year. I mean, he's a good quarterback, but he had a good year because he was just filled I mean, they were stuffed with talent, good defense, good offense, good offensive line, good everything. So it's kind of hard to make these comparisons. Jalen Hurts is a good, like I said, a good quarterback, but in a real good situation too. So Pickett is not going to have that kind of luxury to have these awesome receivers. The offensive line is terrible. He's got a decent running back, pretty good running back, not elite, but I don't like those kind of comparisons. I don't think Pickett's going to make any kind of strides that any of those guys did. I mean that Jalen Hurts did. So, or any of these guys can do that. But JT, did the Texans just stay put, or they try to trade up and just say, "Hey, we're number 2. Whoever falls us, we get."
If I'm the Texans, I'd probably stay put. They have so many holes. I just don't think they can afford to trade draft picks and move up. And they really, I'm guessing they'd have to give up that number 12 pick to move up as well. And I think they need that pick bad. If I'm them, I just stay put.
Agreed. Titans, stick with Tannehill or what?
The Titans could take the path of becoming another team that races, that's a race for the top overall pick in 2024. They could be one of many teams because of the QB thirst going on around the league. Or you can stick it out with Ryan Tannehill, have Traylon Burks fully healthy, have a second year of Chigozie Okonkwo, keep Derrick Henry on the team, and make another run for the division. I mean, it's not too difficult division. You just got to beat the Jaguars. Hopefully they address their secondary, because that was one of the worst secondaries in the league last year. And it's just going to be a little bit more difficult. But I don't know what the odds are right now between the Jags and the Titans right now. I'm sure the Jags are much more favored than the Titans are. But I don't think they can get anything of value right now for Tannehill. I mean, I don't even think they can get a first round pick for Tannehill right now.
No, I just think that if Derrick Henry's to get hurt again, you saw that team just absolutely implodes without that play action, threat, the play action offense. With Tannehill. Tannehill just is not the same player when he doesn't have Derrick Henry back there. Nobody would be. It's just fair. It's just nobody would be able to run an offense without a Derrick Henry, threat. So, JT, Vikings, are they cutting Dalvin Cook?
That's another team I just kind of think would be interesting if they maybe jumped in on Bijan at the end of the first round there. I think he could be a beast on that team. I don't know if I'm cutting Dalvin Cook for them. I mean, he's not that expensive right now, but I could see him making that move if they went and got a running back they really liked. But he's still got a little bit of tread left on the tires, I think.
Yeah, agreed. The Washington football team, is Sam Howell going to pan out or what?
Sure. I like Sam Howell. I mean, Sam Howell, I think, was just as justifiably a candidate to be drafted in the first round as much as Kenny Pickett was last year. I think Sam Howell, like I said before, I just started working with these analytical models for players that are getting drafted. And Sam Howell was the only player that showed up in every single criteria, positively. He was the only person that showed up in every single category. So, I mean, I think there's still something to see there. I think I think Washington should at least give him a shot to earn the starting job, and I think it's possible. I think that division's hard to win. So I don't know what pan out exactly means, but I mean, as far as like maybe getting him even and making him, make the Eagles sweat a little bit, I guess it could happen. Sam Howell does have a rushing profile to him, so you can always incorporate that. They do have Bieniemy over there, so we'll see what happens with that. I mean, it could. It just depends how you fashion the offense. There we go.
Yeah, I love Howell. I agree with you 100%. They got to give him. I just can't. Here's something I saw Buddy put on Twitter the other day. They basically showed Levis next to Howell and like all these things they were talking about Levis's arm, and they're like Howell had all those traits and matched him or was better and actually was good in college. I can't see how Levis is a top 10 pick and people are out on Howell. That just makes no sense to me at all. Washington, give Howell a shot, please.
What the hell's wrong with Ron Rivera? But he did the shit with the running backs last year. This year he's talking about, we're bringing a journeyman to compete with Howell. Like, just stick with your guy or go with. Like, I don't understand what the hell's wrong with that guy. He makes my skin crawl.
Dude, Ron Rivera just pisses off everybody. He just pisses off everybody.
I thought it was just me at some point in time. Like, is this guy a fucking dickhead or like it's just me? Like, no, but like Antonio Gibson bullshit. He's talking about he's gonna be a special teamer. And then he used him half the game. Like he had more carries the whole season. Just shut the fuck up, man. Like it's God. The guy just makes my fucking skin crawl. But
I hear you.
Oh, this podcast just went to X-rated now, so I got to get. All right. So there was no trade. That's all for the teams, our team evaluation thing. So there was no trades in my Mighty McGlynn Dynasty home leagues. There's no trades this week. Everybody's kind of taking a vacation this week. So no trades to talk about. So, but we do have a team evaluation. I sent you guys a team. Excuse me. I sent you guys a team a couple days ago to kind of overlook. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over that team and get some, it's going to be a rebuild, a remodel, and we'll talk about like how to get it there as far as which, I hate when they do this. Okay. I don't know what he did. All right. So on our screen right now, we have a team. It is his quarterbacks are Geno Smith, Zeke Elliott. Can you guys see it on there? Right? It's on the screen.
I got it pulled up.
Okay, good. All right. It's Geno Smith, Zeke Elliott, Travis Etienne, KJ Osborne, Kendrick Bourne, Amon-Ra St. Brown, George Kittle's a tight end, Latavius Murray, Tyreek Hill. I'm sorry, Taysom Hill is the second flex. And then his second quarterback is Mike White. I should say that these leagues they're super flex, tight end premium. It's 30 players on the roster, start 10, and there's bonuses for 100-yard passing. There's 3 and 4 yard passing, 120 yards receiving and rushing. It's full PPR, that kind of stuff. So we went to Latavius Murray, Taysom Hill, Mike White, Carson Wentz, Jared Stidham, Chris Striveler, Desmond Ritter, Sony Michel, Chase Edmonds, Ronald Jones, Justice Hill, JaMychal Hasty, Tyler Batty, we talked about earlier, Keontae Ingram, T.Y. Hilton, Debo Samuel, Hunter Renfrow, Tutu Atwell, Nico Collins, Rondell Moore, Jalen Tolbert, who I liked last year. I tried trading up from like 5 different leagues, and he sucks. But Cameron Brate, Jake Ferguson, who I like, Tannehill's on the bench on the IR, and so is Dontrell Hilliard. So with this team, what do you guys think needs to be done here as far as what should they be doing to make this team back into playoffs? And I sent you guys a list of the draft picks that he had, so I have to stop sharing the screen to get to that.
I got it. Yeah, he's got a 104. He's got I think 213. So he's got one first, 2 seconds, and then a third, fourth, fifth, and a sixth.
What is the sixth pick?
His sixth pick is 606.
Okay, so the 601 is the
213.
Yeah, the 601 is actually that's the 113 in this league. So
it's the 113.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's got 2 firsts. Yeah, I mean, at first glance, when somebody looks at this team, it looks like a complete rebuild. It looks like a tear down rebuild. I mean, the depth is a whole complete issue. I don't even know who Chris Streveler is, honestly. And I've never even heard that guy before. That's like the first time I've ever said that about a football player. But he really doesn't have many pieces to trade away. Maybe he can trade away George Kittle. I'd be okay with trading Travis Etienne. I'd hold Amon-Ra St. Brown. But trade away Travis Etienne right now, just because I just don't value running backs the same exact way. You can find a running back in the second round of your draft, and and maybe hopefully get some production out of them. Maybe you can get like a Tajay Spears, but I don't think right now. I think right now with this team, tear it down and don't expect to win next year either, because this is kind of like I think this is more of a 3-year window team. It just doesn't seem like there's too many stable pieces in place for this team to be a contender next year. Even if he forced it this year in the draft, he's got the 104. So what he can get maybe Young, or he's not getting a Stroud. Maybe he might get Jahmyr Gibbs or something like that. He can get JSN, and that would give him some stability. I mean, it's you're going to be drafting for players, and you're going to be hoping that they stay healthy all year long.
Right.
So, yeah, it seems like a rebuild team.
JT, what do you think about this team?
Yeah, it's first glance, it's in pretty rough shape. At second glance, it's in pretty rough shape. This is a tough team, man. I'm selling off pieces as much as I can. I agree with Z. This is a 2 or 3 year minimum rebuild here. The problem is he doesn't have a lot of good pieces to sell. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown is about the best guy he's got on that team, and there ain't much else. So. I don't even know what you could get for Zeke at this point. I don't even know if you could get a third for him. It's his value is tanked, especially right now. We're not knowing if he's going to be back on the Cowboys or where he's going to be. Yeah. So you got to start a rebuild somewhere. He's got some decent draft picks, and that's key. Starts hitting the draft. But yeah, the quarterback play is real tough in that league. I think he's got some guys he's just going to have to just play him until they're dead. I mean, I don't think you can move some of those guys, but he probably needs to take any of the pieces he's got, like a St. Brown, and hope you have a big Lions fan in your team or in your league, and try to move him and see if you can get a first for him, or try to package some of these guys and get maybe some second and third round picks, and hope you can hit somebody in this draft. Because I like the second and third round a lot in this draft as far as rookie drafts. I think you can get a lot of good value in that second, third round. So I'd start trying to trade away any of these guys for third rounders if I could, second rounders, package away if you can.
This is not a great draft class, but it is a deep draft class. The problem is everybody's so small. I put a tweet out the other day that showed that I don't know if you guys ever saw that Gru and all the minions. Like, Gru was up there like hugging them all. And I'm like, it's Roger Goodell meeting all the people at the podium during the draft. Like, they're all so small and undersized. I mean, what's his name is the 5'5", 164 or something, 168 or something like that. Deuce
Vaughn from Kansas State. Yeah,
it's like, geez, how that's absolutely nuts how small. Even the receivers, they all come out. The quarterbacks are those, some of the quarterbacks are small. The receivers are all just seem to be. It must be the new trend to be just skinny and fast now, instead of like, back in the day we had the big monster receivers, like the Calvin Johnsons, or even before that, the big dudes. It must be the thing now to be just shifty and skinny, like have ankles this big like Devonta Smith. I don't know how.
Well, I think it's interesting because you watch the wideouts of the combine run, a lot of small guys, not a lot of real fast guys. But if you watch the defensive side, it was the complete opposite. Cornerbacks crushed it. DBs crushed it. There were guys running 4.3s, 4.4s all over the place on defense, and a lot of guys with good size on defense. I just think it's one of those random years. I think cornerback is as loaded as it can be. It just happens to be one of the drafts where the wideouts aren't that deep, and they're kind of small. And I think, you're seeing a little bit of these guys, I think, coming into college where they're starting to realize, man, maybe I don't have the greatest hands in the world, but if I play defense with my size and speed, I can definitely make the league as a cornerback. I might not make the lead as a wide receiver. So I think you're seeing a lot of guys realize they can make some moves if they maybe move to the defensive side of the ball, because they're ball hawks all over that secondary in the draft, but just not a lot of those guys on offense.
Yeah, that's I get it. So I see this guy's got Geno Smith and Desmond Ridder is like pretty much his only, maybe Tannehill if he starts, but that's pretty much it. The rest of these guys, White, Wentz, Taysom Hill, Stidham, and Streveler, they're pretty much cut candidates at this point in time, So his running backs, ETN's good, but there's talk of the Jaguars bringing another running back too. Zeke, yeah, like you said, I don't know what he's going to do. They might even cut him this year. I know it'll make Jerry Jones cry, but they might have to get rid of Zeke this year. Talking about possibly cutting him. Keontae Ingram, JaMychal Hasty, Tyler Batty, Latavius Murray, Chase Edmonds, Dontrell Hilliard, Ronald Jones, Justice Hill, Sony Michel. He's only got one decent running back here, one pretty good running back, but the rest of these guys are just pretty much cut candidates. If Zeke gets cut and goes somewhere in a committee where he's maybe just a goal line back or something, he's SOL. And you look at the wide receivers, Amon-Ra, yeah, if you can maybe trade Amon-Ra, if somebody's going to get at least a first for Amon-Ra, if not a first in a couple seconds, I would think right now, especially a Lions fan, I would get rid of him ASAP. Debo, people are in love with Debo. I'm not a Debo Samuels fan. I think he's okay, but he's more of an athlete. He's a better football player than a fantasy football player, as far as I'm concerned. Rondell Moore, I love Rondell Moore coming out of college. I think everybody had a Woody for Rondell Moore, but he just, I don't think he's ever going to be what people every year his value shrinks more and more. And then KJ Osborne, Hunter Renfrow, Nico Collins. I like Nico Collins, but another guy who never pans out. He's always hurt. He's got something going on. Jalen Tolbert, like I said, him and Bell last year, I traded up in every draft to try and get them guys in the middle of the second round, and they both didn't pan out. Tutu Atwell's the size of my next door neighbor's 3-year-old kid, so I don't know what he's ever going to do. Like Kendrick Bourne, T.Y. Hilton, these are almost
Yeah, my very first move is I look at somebody that's competing in this league that is short on a second QB, and I immediately try to get a first or second rounder for my QBs. I'm in a few leagues like that where I'm just desperate for a second quarterback in a super flex, but the rest of my team's good, and I've had to trade away a ton of first and second round picks just to fill a hole. If I'm this guy, I take advantage of that. I find someone that needs a second QB, and I trade, get whatever I can for Geno. If the Titans don't take a QB and they go with Tannehill, wait till close to the season and then trade Tannehill. I mean, I'm unloading everybody and getting every pick I can at this point with this team.
Yeah, and it seems like you have to be really up on your sell windows, like with players like Desmond Ridder. Say they don't go for Lamar Jackson, they are actually sticking it out with Desmond Ridder. As soon as they announce that Ridder's value is going to go up, and there's going to be a sell window right there for Ridder. You're not going to get a first. You're probably going to get a second for him, maybe like late second, mid second. But again, for a team like JT said that needs a QB2, Ridder would pan out for that team. And just understand and accept that you're not going to be a competing team this year. Tear the Band-Aid off and start getting them picks and start acquiring capital, because it's going to be full rebuild for this team. That's just where this team is at right now.
Yeah, this guy's a 4th round pick, maybe a 5th round pick, trying to get like Stetson Bennett or something like that. Hopefully he pans out, or Dorian Thompson-Robinson or somebody like that deep. Maybe you get a Hendon Hooker in the 3rd round or something like that. But that's all the quarterbacks that are in this draft are at the top of the draft. That's the only problem here. You're not getting a quarterback on that, where you're at. If in a super flex, where the first 4 teams need quarterbacks, you're probably going to be SOL. But they're not going to take running backs. They may take receivers, but there's only one good receiver, and it's that's worthy of the top 5 pick if you're in a super flex. That's I think anyway, who you take over a quarterback, and they may be JSN, but it's a tough situation here for this guy. So that's our evaluation of this team. Anything else to add, or we pretty much nailed it, right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, JT, tell everybody we can find you out. What's going on? What you got going on?
Yep, you can find me on Twitter at JT Orange. Also JT Orange, JT Orange 4, and in a million different Discords. If you're on there, always voting on polls, put up polls, trader valuations, all that stuff. So I played a little bit of every type of league. So I always tell people, hit me up with any kind of comments about any kind of trades or values for any type and every type of league, because I'm in them all. Like I said, just join the guys Dynasty Pros, P2W, and DLF football. Just gonna see a lot of my stuff coming out with them here in the near future, hopefully.
Z, what do you got going on?
Just at Twitter at ZKantzFF again, and I'm doing Dynasty rankings at Football Guys. I'm putting out articles at Football Guys, and you can find me at WTF Fantasy podcast with Brandon Hay, and that's where I'm at.
And I'm John McGlynn, and I thank you guys for coming out and being part of my commissioner evaluation show. I had a great time today. You guys are very informative. Again, I cut down the show sheets to be under an hour, and it's an hour and 41 minutes now. So that's it's never going to change. It is what it is. But I appreciate you guys spending an hour and 42 minutes of your life sitting here talking to me, having a good time on the commissioner evaluation podcast. I can't thank you enough. I'm on Twitter at John McGlynn75. I try to do Discords, but they suck. I try to do everything else. I'm just not a social media guy. I guess I'm just old. So I do Facebook and Twitter, and that's all. That's it. Other than that, I'm busy. So thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for making this show awesome. I really appreciate it.
I repeat, McGlynn is in. Let the fun begin. This is the Commissioner Evaluation Podcast.
Now we get to hear my song again on the way out.
John McGlynn.
Thanks, Herms NFL, for ranking it for me.
Was that Herms?
He got them guests on the Rolodex, stopping by to talk about some Dynasty Superflex. Everybody, commish is in. It's time to sit down to listen to John McGlynn. Yo, who we trading, who we fading, who we getting off the squad. Knowledge never overrated, playing for number 1. Hey, yo, McGlynn is in. It's time to let the fun begin. It's the Commissioner Evaluation Podcast with John McGlynn.
I asked my kids if they knew what a Rolodex was. They had no idea. So, all right, we out.